You want that first bite to pop. Crisp coating, bright sauce, real veggies. Not a salt surge or gluey noodles. We tested 10 items straight from the line so you don't have to roll the dice. 5 belong in every order. 5 are high risk, low reward, too sweet, too salty, or texturally confused. I'll flag the ones that only work as a sidekick and the sleeper hit that makes everything else better. Build your plate smarter in the next 5 minutes. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and to like the video. Number 1. Honey Sesame Chicken Breast. You see sesame seeds in a bright glaze and expect crisp, light, and balanced. It looks clean. It reads fresh. But the glaze runs sweet and sticky, and that tempura shell steams out fast. By the time you sit, the crackle fades. You get soft edges and a syrup coat. Here's the truth. Reviewers flag soggy batter and one-note sweetness that drowns the green beans. When sugar leads and crunch dies, you lose contrast. No snap, no lift, just a flat chew. You taste sweet, then more sweet. It's like turning your entree into a sauced dessert and calling it dinner. Rankings often nod to a nice citrus hint, but they also warn about texture loss on the line. Heat, lids, and holding pans work against you. Texture is the make or break here. Without it, each bite drags and the palate tires. Bottom line, if you want fried chicken that stays lively, skip this glaze first pick. Look for an option where sauce and crunch share the stage, not one that smothers its own strengths. Your plate needs contrast, not candy. Now to a bolder red sauce classic that promises kick and chew. The question is, does it deliver? Number 2. Beijing Beef. You want tang, heat, and peppers that pop. That's the promise here. But the beef can swing from tender to chewy, batch to batch. The glossy sauce hits bright, then turns thick and heavy. You feel it coat your tongue instead of clearing the bite. Here's the truth. Reviewers praise the great citrus notes and a little bit of punch and kick to it. Red bell peppers and onions add real crunch, which helps early on. Then the fried beef and sticky sauce start to work against you. Rubber-like edges show up, the sauce pools. Your palate tires, like running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. Research notes that the same traits that make it bold also invite texture risk and fatigue. Frying builds flavor but raises the chew risk. A peppery sweet-sour glaze sets it apart from soy-heavy sauces, yet it can overwhelm fast when portion and timing slip. Order it only when you pair with a clean side to reset your mouth between bites. Go small, eat it first, and add something plain to rinse the sauce weight. If you want a reliable base that rescues louder mains, the next item earns its spot. Number 3. Chow mein. You need one anchor that steadies the plate. Chow mein does that job. Noodles at chains can clump or turn oily, but this one keeps landing near the top. Here's the truth. Reviews call it a hit every single time and a must-order side. The seasoning is savory, not loud. You get that stir-fried edge with threads of sweetness and salt that sit clean rather than greasy. When the batch is right, noodles stay just al dente. They carry sauce without going gluey, like a good sponge that holds water but doesn't leak all over the counter. Crunchy cabbage and a few onions add snap so bites don't blur together. Grease stays in check, which means you taste wheat and wok, not oil. Liss praise its consistency and pairability. It tones down heat, salt, and sugar from bolder flavors and acts as a neutral canvas, so your plate doesn't drift into one-note territory. A minor gripe shows up. Some want more cabbage. Fair. The core still works. Bottom line, clear should order. Use chow mein to balance saucy or sweet entrees and keep your palate fresh. Now let's look at a sweet spicy entree that promises kick but often backfires. Number 4. Sweet Fire Chicken Breast. Pineapple chili and crispy chicken sounds like bright contrast. You expect sweet, heat, and crunch to trade turns and stay sharp. But the syrupy sweetness takes the wheel. The first bite pops, then the glaze turns heavy and softens the crust. The chili sits under sugar so the heat can't break through. Here's the truth. Reviewers warn of dessert-like sauce and a wet finish that erases crunch. Once the shell gives, you're left with sticky sweetness and no relief. The pineapple tries to lift with a little acid, but the sauce drowns it, so bites blur together. It feels fun at the start, then it drags. Lists place this low for monotone flavor and sogginess over time. That's the trap. High risk, low reward. The longer it rides the line or the plate, the faster the texture collapses. You lose contrast, you lose balance, you lose interest. Bottom line, put sweet fire chicken breast in the never order camp unless you pair it with a dry, bitter counter. That kind of side is rare on this menu, so you're stuck with sugar. If you're craving a side with crisp contrast, the next one looks fun. On paper. Number 5, cream cheese rangoons. A fried pocket with a loud crunch is hard to resist. You hear that snap and think you're winning the side game. But it's mostly cream and shell, little protein, little spice, and no lift for the rest of your plate. It's a calorie detour with no synergy, more show than help. Here's the truth. Rankings flag low flavor density and plain, boring cream cheese. You get oil-led pleasure that fades fast, like a sparkler that burns out in seconds. Dips can cover the bland core, but then you're just chasing sauce and stacking sugar and salt. The missing crab matters too. It removes the savory pull that makes other versions work, so you end up with sweet, tangy dips doing all the labor. As a side, it doesn't add real texture diversity when your mains already skew fried and sauced. If freshness slips, they dry out, and the crunch goes from crisp to hollow, so now you've paid for air plus oil. Bottom line, skip. Save room for sides that sharpen the whole plate, not just the first crunch. Now a grilled option that sounds lean, but there's a catch. Number 1, grilled teriyaki chicken. You want protein that won't drown you in sugar or breading? Grilled teriyaki chicken looks like the fix. No tempura, no heavy glaze baked in. But here's the truth. The grill marks sell flavor the meat doesn't always have. Reports flag uneven doneness and bland bites, unless you pour on the teriyaki. When the sauce does the heavy lifting, sodium stacks fast and the chicken can still chew a little dry, so you trade one problem for another. Reviews frame it as safer than fried glazes, but warn about dryness and chew. Without sauce, it tastes flat. With a heavy pour, salt spikes and the plate drifts. Think of it like using a fire hose to water a houseplant. You hit the target, but you flood everything around it. It works best when you control the sauce. Ask for it on the side, use light drizzles, and pair with low-sodium sides to keep the macros strong and the mouthfeel honest. On its own, it sits in the middle. Good protein, variable texture, flavor tied to the bottle. Bottom line, conditional should order. Next up, a premium-sounding steak that often misses where it counts. Number 2, black pepper Angus steak. The word steak signals a treat. You expect tender bites, deep savor, and a sauce that frames, not floods. But here's the truth. Reviewers flag high sodium and wobbling tenderness. The black pepper pop can read sharp, and the sauce leans salty and heavy, so the heat stacks rather than lifts. One serving clocks 790 milligrams of sodium, more than half of a 1,500 milligram day. So a few bites can push your limit fast. Lists mark it a skip for everyday eating because the load doesn't match the pleasure. When tenderness slides, you feel shortchanged on a premium pick. It's like paying for front row seats and staring at a pillar. The sauce coats, the pepper bites, and the chew turns from reward to work. And here's the kicker. The bell peppers and onions won't rescue the salt surge. They add color and a little crunch, but the heavy base drowns them out. That makes this a classic high-risk, low-reward entree for your heart and your palate. Bottom line, put black pepper Angus steak in the never-order camp. You're paying for the name, not a better bite. Want a side that actually lifts the meal and trims the risk? Here it is. Number 3, super greens. You think vegetable medley means bland filler. Something soft, pale, and forgettable. But here's the truth. Super greens get real praise for garlicky bite, bright color, and crunch. The broccoli stays crisp and crunchy. Kale and cabbage add a light, flavorful chew. That punchy, aromatic garlic sauce pulls them past fast food norms and makes the greens smell warm and inviting before you even dig in. Multiple rankings call this a standout side. The texture is the key. Crisp, tender florets and ribbons of cabbage cut through sugar and salt like a squeeze of lemon cuts oil. That reset clears your tongue so you can taste what comes next instead of plowing through a blur of sauce. And because the greens are generously coated, you get flavor in every forkful without the grease drag. Add super greens and you lower plate fatigue, boost contrast, and make bold entrees taste sharper. One scoop acts like a palate rinse, a small fix with a big effect on how the whole meal lands. Bottom line firm, should order. One scoop turns a heavy plate into a balanced one. Now, a shrimp option that sounds light but looks can mislead. Number 4, firecracker shrimp. Shrimp sounds like the smart light pick with a kick. Flashy heat hits fast, so the first bite reads bold and clean. But the risk is rubbery shrimp and a hot, salty glaze that doesn't let go. If the pan sits, shrimp turn firm and the veg lose snap. That kills the light feel and loads your palate with heat and salt. Here's the truth. Reviews note bright spice but uneven cook on the seafood. When shrimp go past done, the texture turns on you, like chewing a rubber band. The sauce can't hide that. In a fresh batch, the veggie keep their bite and the heat feels sharp, not muddy. Wait a few minutes and you trade pop for chew and wilt. This is a fragile entree. The outcome hangs on timing. Fresh off the wok, quick serve, quick eat. As a small add-on, it can work because you finish before the texture slides. As a main, it's high risk. Bottom line, treat firecracker shrimp as a situational order. Ask for a fresh batch, go small, and pair with greens for relief. Otherwise, skip. For a classic beef dish, does simple beat flashy? Let's end with the quiet staple. Number 5, broccoli beef. You want something straightforward that won't wreck your palate. Clean sauce, clear chew, simple build. It's not a flavor bomb, and that's the point. The question is, does simple stay satisfying when you're hungry and the line's moving fast? Here's the truth. Reviews frame broccoli beef as a lighter, balanced pick. The broccoli matters. Large pieces with a real crunch that stands up after a few minutes on the plate. The beef is sliced thin. When cooked right, it stays tender enough to work with rice or noodles without turning gummy. The sauce shows restraint, so you taste beef and greens first, not sugar or a wall of salt. That control keeps bites distinct, instead of blending into one sticky note. Research backs the appeal. It runs less salty and less sticky than the bolder entrees, which makes the whole meal easier to finish. You get chew, snap, and a soy savory finish that doesn't coat your tongue. Even when a strip of beef leans chewy, the crisp broccoli and lean sauce pull it back into balance. Bottom line, a quiet should order when you want control. Clean flavors, good chew, and easy pairing with super greens or chow mein. Skip the sugar glaze traps and the salt bomb steak. Build around chow mein, super greens, and clean proteins. You get steadier texture, fewer palate killers, and a meal you can finish without regret. Here's the truth. Sodium adds up fast when sauces lead. One source flags black pepper chicken at 1,130 milligrams per serving, and sides stack more. Read the nutrition page before you order. Aim for balance. One bold entree, one clean protein, one green side. Want the truth about what's really safe? Subscribe now so you won't get fooled. Drop your story in the comments. Worst texture fail or best surprise, and help others order smarter.